Hello? 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 It's been so long. I don't know how to do this anymore. Hi. Hold on. Hold on. Hi. My name is CJ. It is currently January 2 by the time I'm recording this, so Happy New Year. I hope everyone's had a good New Year's, good holidays. And I think I'm about to enter a contest. I don't know. It's been a while since I've actually been on Webtoons. Like, a while. But I've always been a comic artist, a comic enthusiast at heart. It all began with Lackadaisy, back all the way back in the early days of DeviantArt. And to this day, I still consider myself primarily a comic artist. Right now, as a job description, I am a comic artist. But recently, I have been working several art jobs that do not involve that kind of field. And luckily, Webtoons released a new competition of sorts called what is it called? Hold on, give me 1 second. The $1 million prize pool Webtoon 2025 contest, webcomic legends. Okay, first things first, $1 million prize pool. It's a prize pool, and according to the website, the grand prize winner is $150,000. The genre winners, because there are 4 genres, I think. So there are 4 genres, but there are 3 winners. Wait, let me just hold on just a second. There are genre winners. So there's like romance, drama, action, fantasy, horror filler, mystery, supernatural, comedy, or slice of life. Genre winners get $100,000. Genre finalists, up to 12 winners, get $35,000. And genre runners-up get this up to 24 winners. That's $5,500. That is hopefully my goal. That those runner-ups, that's more than enough. If I do the math correctly right now, $5,500 at best right now, that is 318,000 pesos. My god, that's already woof. But let's come back down to earth. So my experience with Webtoon contests is at least just once. I did it all the way back in 2015, exactly a decade ago, funnily enough. It was for the Webtoon Superheroes contest that was in coordination with Stan Lee. And it was a really memorable time in my life because I just had quit a job that I didn't really like. It was really bogging me down. And I went back to college, and while I was back in college, I took up this contest as not even to win it, but mostly just to get something creative out into the world, or get this my creative brain juices flowing again, and mostly just to feel centered, to feel stable once more. And it really did work. It had the added bonus of at some point getting really popular, and I did structure it so that it would only be a sort of one-shot. I'll link it in the description. I don't know, I have no idea when I'll be able to actually make this video. I'm kind of just rambling, but I do kind of want to get into more projects, stop holding back, and I just want to stop holding back. I know it's the New Year's, and I probably might not follow this New Year resolution, so to speak, but there's literally one posted here on my PC monitor. It's just one thing, and it says, "Are you holding back?" And that's it, because all it takes was one answer, a yes or a no, and depending on that answer, I already know how I'm going to adjust myself. So was I holding back for the longest time on 2024? Absolutely. And not because I wanted to, but of course, and I don't want to say it's because I had to, but a lot of things, a lot of circumstances led to the need to hold back, I guess. I'm currently working 2 part-time jobs, and one of them I'm hoping to turn into a full-time, or either one of them, honestly, turn into a full-time by this month. I'm still waiting on what's going to happen there. But okay, back to the point. My point is, a decade ago, I joined the Webtoon Superheroes contest. I didn't want to. I didn't need to win. I didn't expect to win. All I needed to, I guess, win against is my own self-doubt, just the need to finish something, just to finish one single story. And I did. I finished it. It's a 5, technically like a 4 episode thing. It's a one shot, and kind of exactly what I'm planning again for this 2025 contest. Right now, though, I do I do kind of feel very ambitious because according to the contest rules, it's technically not starting yet. The start is on March. Okay, so the initial submission period opens March 10, 2025 and closes May 15. So I technically have whole quarter, March, April, May, and I guess 2 months. I hope I have 3 to 5 months to work on something. And I already know that I always tell myself to set your bar extremely low so that when you meet it, you'll never be disappointed. But I guess I have the privilege now with missions and with my 2 part-time jobs. I have the privilege now to aim a little bit higher than that low bar and just do something. Just try to finish something. Again, there were so many things, there's so many stories that I've been wanting to really delve into for the longest time, and I think this contest might just be the perfect avenue to show one of them. So I'm gonna set my goals now for what I hope to achieve in this contest. My main goal is to use a character that I've already worked on for another old contest, and I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to use it again because this other contest didn't make it, so they kept it. Anyway, his name is Uriel, and he should be appearing somewhere here in my side. So Uriel is a character that I came up with for the Forgotten Creation contest for Adam Hawk, and of course I didn't win, but that's okay. Because I also needed to get back into the funk of, as you can see, there is a pattern. I use a lot of contests just to motivate myself to have like a sort of deadline, I guess. But basically, Uriel for the longest time has had a story kind of in my head, several stories, kind of. He started off with a really heartbreaking story, but then I challenged myself to make it more wholesome. And now with this contest, I do kind of have an idea of what I want to do, and that is to turn his story into an interactive comic. I've been a fan of interactive, I guess, choose your own adventure stories since I was a kid. I say that, but I don't have, other than my D&D shit, I don't really have anything that resembles that. But I remember when I was a child, I read Goosebumps, Give Your Own Scare. I think I forgot what it was called because I know that Choose Your Own Adventures is a trademark of somebody else's. But I don't know whose it was. I borrowed it from somewhere. I don't know if it was a library or a neighbor or I was a child and I had it and I read it and it was awesome. And I want to do it again. I want to do it for myself. I've always wanted to do it for myself. It was also actually the reason why another comic that I'm still holding on to until today, and I really want to write in the future, Heads and Tails, is a fantasy romance that I want to do. I originally made it into an interactive fiction as well, interactive storytelling with the choices matter kind of style. But again, I paused that. I paused a lot of my comics because I know that, number one, there's a lot of things I need to improve for myself. I needed to know how to tell a story. I needed to learn how to write a good story and tell it in the way that I want to, in the way it deserves, I guess. And now that I've achieved that, number two, well, kind of, but now that I think I've achieved the kind of storytelling that I want, number two, I needed to get better with my art. Like, I know it was passable a decade ago, but now a decade after, I have very high standards now for my own art. So there's that. And then there's number three. I want to have the same goal as I did before, and it's a goal that I kind of forgotten over the last year or so, and it's that I needed to make a story that I want to tell, that I want to read, that I want to experience, I guess. My main goal is to use Uriel in an interactive comic. It's going to be horror, but also kind of wanted to make it into a mystery, thriller, supernatural, I guess. I'm going to base it in that sort of genre. And the way I'm going to turn it into an interactive fiction is basically thinking of it as a game, because the way I'm establishing the choices, the main goal of the story is Uriel is an experiment made by some government science thingy experiment. I don't know just yet, but Uriel is stuck inside a facility and he needs to get out, or the goal is to get out. So the way I've structured it so far inside my head is he's stuck in a tower, probably somewhere in the middle of a tower. So you right from the get-go, he has the option to either go up to escape or to go down to escape. And I right now, even just that alone, I can tell it's going to be really fun to draw. I have no idea how I'm going to draw well, I do, I guess, have some basic idea of how to draw the journey going up, but definitely the journey going down is going to be a lot smoother because it is the format of webcomics. But also, I do want to print this someday. I mean, that's another step in the future, but I guess if I'm going to do the whole going up, I am going to do the whole going up path. I can like structure it as a normal like flip book. Yeah, it's normal flip book. But the way I'm going to structure going down is more akin to a webcomic. But I'll still have to do, because I know I'm going to compile it all in one book anyway. Honestly, I don't know yet. I have several options. One is to kind of like base it on Dante's Inferno, even though it's been ages since I've never read Dante's Inferno, but I've skimmed it. I know the general gist of the story, and it might be poetic. I'm not sure yet. And then the other one is I kind of want to base it on one of my favorite bands' music. So one of my favorite bands is The Amazing Devil, and their album, The Horror in the Wild, it fits perfectly for what I imagine Uriel's character is, and another character that I'm hoping to include inside it, because the purpose of that other character that I'm thinking of is because Uriel is pretty much a stand-in for the readers, the players themselves. The other character that I'm envisioning is going to be like your guide, Uriel's guide. Okay, so I got Dante's Inferno and The Horror in the Wild as my potential like inspirations so far. Or I could just go for option 3 and do something completely original, something completely on my own. I have no clue. Other than that, in terms of themes, I want it to be, because the theme of the webcomic contest is Webtoons Legends. I think Legends is the theme, I'm not sure. Or I guess something legendary. And I do want this story to really touch some people's hearts. Even if not all, just if there's anything I want, it's just, I want people to feel something. I want them to feel sympathy. I want them to feel fear. I want them to feel hope. And I want them to feel like, I don't know. I don't expect to change anything monumental about people's thinking, but I do want to give them a good experience with this story that I don't know what it'll be yet. But to those who will read this in the future, including myself, to me as well, to my future me, I hope you enjoy the story you're going to tell. And to everyone else, I hope you do too. I hope you enjoy it as well. Or not. We'll see. It's been a while, but that's kind of like what I got so far. Thank you so much. Good luck to future me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Also, I forgot to mention the tools that I'll be using. I mean, if this all goes well, I might as well just mention what I'm going to use. So the tools that I plan to use is number 1, twine. I've heard about it once and I completely let go of it, and because of my searching for how to do interactive fiction, I stumbled upon twine again, and I've given it a shot a few hours ago, and I think it's going to be extremely useful for the branching story kind of flow. So there's that. In terms of writing the story, I honestly don't know yet. I'm so iffy on it. Right now, the main storytelling writing program that I've been using is just Notepad++. Because one, I like the simple format of it. Like I reskinned it into have a brown. I don't remember if it was originally brown, like the backdrop of it, but it is now for me. There's no connecting to the internet, but it can link. It does keep links, which is great. And it's line by line. I could use Microsoft Word. I'll probably also use Word so I can focus on the editing parts. But as for how I'm going to write it, I guess here's the thing, because I've been practicing on how to write things like in a book format, but writing a comic and also writing a game is completely different. But at the same time, I can see similarities between the two of them. So I guess it's going to all be a mixture of that. I'm going to try and attempt to mix writing for a book plus writing for a comic plus writing for a game all in one thing. This comic will be the end of me. Other than that, if you want to see the chaos, subscribe, maybe. It's up to you. I don't know what's going to happen just yet. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Alright. It is the next day. I come bearing notes, and I have about an hour left until I need to feed the pets. But first of all, Milo, just hold on. Hold on. Anywho, I've slept on it. I've slept on the idea, and a lot more things came up into my mind. I'm surprised I actually got to sleep at least maybe my 8 hours, so that was cool. But yeah, several things to note. I just want to talk about these first, so I know that I got them unlocked, but not exactly this. This is just a reminder to myself. These, however, this will be my main guideline for this entire venture. I don't know if it'll focus enough for you to see it. But this, this, and this. Okay, I'll just... Number one, I am definitely prioritizing the story first and the art last. A huge thank you to Dayday Does, who I watched their reading for the web of the neighbors. I watched the reading of the contest rules, and it really helped me understand it more. Like, because while I really did want to read it all myself, having somebody else read it to me made it much easier to absorb. And listening to Dayday Does helped me keep note of the more important things. So I do know that the judging criteria for the contest is like 20%, 20%, 20%, 40%. So, and the 40% is going to audience engagement. And while I'm still very nervous with engaging with the audience, I know that I can handle it later, baby. This kind of counts as audience engagement. I still don't know when this video is going to come up. I recorded last night. I thought I was going to edit it today, but I thought that's maybe too short. Anyway, prioritizing the story first, prioritizing the art last. And even though I say that as an artist, recently there has been a sort of style I made for myself, in which I'll probably make a style guide as well for myself. For those who don't know, a style guide is something that's used in animation, movies, films, games. Basically a guide for any artists working on these drawings, and it's to make sure that they stay uniform in their style. And the style I'm using for this comic will be something akin to the style I'm using for commissions lately, these doodle commissions, which I've been planning to talk about in the longest time. But basically, I'm going to use Clip Studio Paint X, and then the main brushes I'm going to be using are just the chalk for lining, sketching, whatever, and then the watercolor brush, just the round one. I'm not gonna stray far away from that. The round color water brush for coloring. No excessive blending, no detailing whatsoever. But there are certain details that I need to do that I can't physically do, or it saves times, because this is what I learned as a comic artist myself. I'm gonna be using 3D assets, of course. There's a lot of 3D assets in the asset store, a lot of them free, but there are also my favorite go-to is Sketchfab. There are lots of downloadable Sketchfab free assets, and if there are not the ones that I'm particularly looking for, and this is only for real emergencies, I will go to Blender myself and model it. But at this point, if I have to go to Blender, I might as well just budget. Figure to make it. Yeah, so speed is key, but at the same time, quality is key. Quality I'll be making up with the story. So I wrote here, remember to still use knowledge from editing jobs from 2mix. I've been an editor for 2mix.com for a few years, way back when I was starting my art career. A lot of my initial jump into the comic industry was editing webcomics. But I say that when my main job was just to make sure Portuguese translations made by Portuguese translators were input into the comics themselves in a way that's follows with text guidelines and follows with just editing guidelines. If there are like accidents, where layers were accidentally comped into each other, and the accidental layer mush, it's also my job to like tweak it as much as I could to make sure that it doesn't, to make sure as if you know how painters try to rejuvenate old paintings and try to paint over to make sure to make it look like there was never a mistake. Kinda. That was part of my old job back then. It won't be a classic Filipino morning unless there was somebody sweeping in the background. So yeah, I worked for Tumix way back when, like a few years ago. No, not a few years ago. Many years ago. It was one of my first jobs. I worked for an audit. I worked with them for several years. I was pretty good at it. Until I was convinced by my mother to work somewhere else, which had a lower pay job. I got burned out in that webcomic job, but anyway, the knowledge is still here. I don't know if I still have the list of the comics that I edited on, but if I do, I'll try to list them here. So if you're reading the Portuguese translations of those, I had a hand in them, I guess. The next one is thumbnail it for print, adjust later for webcomic. So I had started as a traditional comic artist first. Like that's where my roots are. I've always done it. It was the same thing I did for the 2015 Webtoon contest, and of course I know for a fact that that was a mistake. That was a big mistake uploading to Webtoons that time. I was still very new to the whole Webtoon thing. Still didn't understand specifically that people looked at Webtoons through their phones most of the time. Gotten used to tapas as well, because in tapas, that kind of format, I think a lot of people were also. I used to be a fan of webcomics. Like I've read a lot in like Smack Jeeves, then mangamagazine.net. It was Ink Blazers at some. I think it was Ink Blazers first, or yeah, it was Ink Blazers first, and then when it turned into Manga Magazine, I wanted so badly to be part of them, but I lost my chance, and I'm glad that I lost my chance, because I think if I took it that way back when, it would be so bad. I would be so bad. But oh, now I remember. So one thing I learned from all those years ago, from reading all those webcomics and editing all of these webcomics. Some of the best stories, some of the best comics I've read, the art wasn't really that detailed or overly detailed, but the story gripped my heart so much. So that's why I think I'm, just to honor those stories as well, I'm gonna go for the most gripping. Yeah, I still don't know what is the specific genre for my story is. I know it's kind of horror, it's kind of mystery, it's kind of thriller. But right now, just that feeling alone, most gripping. I kind of like that's the feel I want to leave. I want the tragedy to seep its way into your heart and stay there for a little bit, and let it coalesce and fester for just a little bit, just enough. And then when you go away from the comic, it still stays with you just a little bit throughout the rest of your day. And you still can't help but come back. That's ooh, I like that so much. Well, it's the same feeling I had reading those old comics, so I just want to do that. Okay, speaking of which, webcomic legends. I've been seeing some complaints about that theme. People saying that it's not very specific. It's not very genre specific. It's not very, but at this point, I think that's. Also, I didn't realize my shorts were just there. It's fine, it's just shorts. My whole room is a mess. I live in the Philippines, it has to be like this. No, I'm joking. But I think personally, having this vague theme, webcomic legends, well, it's a kind of not exactly vague in my head. It's a challenge to creators to make something never done before. And all stories come from other stories. Art is inspired by other art. Stories are inspired by other stories. Having something completely original is not going to be realistic. So again, just to be completely transparent, my inspiration is from the old Goosebumps, Give Yourself a Scare stories, but mine is going to be less. I'll keep explaining. But yeah, all the more kudos to anyone who's going to join the contest as well. I hope I can read as much as I can. I know Dayday will be trying to review, or will be doing their best to review as many comics as they can, and I hope I can submit my comic for review someday. I don't know. Even if I just want to read. I just want to read so much. It's been so long since I've just sat down and read comics. I haven't even touched Webtoon until this contest. So yeah. So just to clarify my position again, I still wanna. My goal is just to get into the last runner-ups because $5,500 is amazing. I would be able to pay so many debts. I would be able to help pay my sister's college tuitions, pay long-standing debts, pay for some house repairs. That's $5,500 will be so incredibly helpful. Oh my god. Okay, but first of all, I need to get my plan straight. So the free act story structure. I've learned about the free act story structure way back when I was first starting to write for Heads and Tails. This is not the only notebook I've been. Yeah, I was a notebook writer. For so long, I've had difficulty just writing stories, even though I love reading them. And I don't know if it's my potential ADHD or potential autism. I don't know. But I found when I was still working at a desk job, I found that working with my notebook, with notebooks, I have like several notebooks here that I used to write my stories on. It helped tremendously because one, I didn't have internet, and two, I was free to just keep writing and nobody really bothered me. I didn't have a laptop of my own to work on. I found that writing on a laptop or writing on a PC did kind of bog me down a bit unless I turn off Wi-Fi or just took off my USB Wi-Fi router. So if I am going to write on PC, it's probably what I'm gonna do next. I don't know. I think another author did that as well. No, actually no, but probably I'm sure hundreds, thousands of authors do that as well. So the free X story structure, I learned most, if not all, of my writing stuff through Abby Emmons. Abby Emmons is an amazing author tuber. I don't know if that's the right word for it. Her and her sister, actually. I listen to their podcast whenever I can. These were my old notes. Let me just put my mic down. Hold on. These were my old notes of the free act story structure. At the time, I couldn't put it in my phone. I couldn't download the video. I didn't have enough space for it, so I just wrote it down, brought this to work, and studied it as much as I could. There are even still notes here from Heads and Tails that I like quick jot down notes of what I know, like the moments that I need to put in there. So if for those who aren't familiar, there's like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. There's the setup, confrontation, the resolution. So pretty much that's it. And in each act there are like sub acts, and you got the point. So that's pretty much what I'm going to follow. The free act story structure. Herein lies like the problem, but I'll talk about it later. Right now, there's one other thing that I've decided to change, and I thought about this while I was about to fall asleep, and I realized how much better this would be. It might be more difficult for me, but it would be better story-wise. So last night I said that the two main characters would be Uriel and a guide character, right? I had a design for the guide character already, kind of, very faintly. Then I realized it would be much better if the guide. Let me just wait until the motorcycle passes. It would be much better if the guide was you. So you're going to basically be playing along. You, the reader, you're going to be the guide for Uriel, because the way I've been thinking about this game, so to speak. I know that choose your own adventure stories usually just have like two options minimum, just you go left or you go right. But at the same time, I know there's so many things that could go wrong with not exactly finding the ending that you want. Or one of the main problems I know when it comes to narrative design in games is that when you go the gray route, like there's like the good route and there's the bad route, and whenever people try to go the gray route, the neutral route, there you go, people find that the editing is not satisfactory enough. I've seen some indie games, especially in horror games, funnily enough, where it's usually like the good ending where you beat all the scares, blah blah blah, and then there's the bad ending where you just die a horrible death, and then there's the neutral ending that I kind of love most of the time. I see this with Lixian's games. It's where your common sense, everything is terrifying, so you just leave in the middle of it and you survive. But sure, you get reprimanded, but you survived, so fair trade. It's those kinds of endings, the gray endings, that I think deserve their own limelight. So what I'm going to do, and I know this is going to make it difficult for me, is to have a little bit of a currency in this game. Several currencies, but first of all, the first currency is It's like a tallying system or a point system, whether Uriel trusts you or not. So this is very much inspired by Detroit Become Human and Life is Strange True Colors. I've never played DBH, but I've watched Jacksepticeye play it long, long ago, and I've played and finished True Life is Strange True Colors, and I do love that. One thing that sets apart Detroit Become Human is the fact that the reason why I came to this conclusion that I need to make it a tallying system, because, and I know it's going to be more work for readers, but the only way I can see 40 panels worth of reading be worth it for choices, you know, because I can't imagine reading an entire episode of 40 panels or more, and then all it comes down to is just one singular choice in the very bottom. So I know for a fact that if I had several choices within those 40 panels, and then you the reader can tally by yourself using your own notes, or even use the comment sections. I don't know, that could help maybe. I don't know, but tally up the points, and then all the points, whether or not you meet a certain threshold, you get to one specific ending. But also, your tally points are only only like a fraction of the decisions that you're going to make, because there will be a final choice in the very end. So there's the one half is the tally point system, and then the other point is the final decision system. Or the final decision system, the very end of the episode is where the story moves forward. The tally point is to figure out how it moves forward, how it goes to parallelly. I don't know if I'm explaining correctly. I think you get the point. Here's where I don't know if it will make sense. I'm thinking about difficulty modes, because I saw this somewhere in the Five Nights at Freddy's Stick With Me Please, the FNAF interactive books recently. I've only taken a peek at it, and I thought it was genius that they had like a difficulty mode where the player, you are provided with several like tidbits. So there's like an easy mode, easy, medium, and hard mode, technically, depending on how many things you have in advance in your inventory, I guess. Oh yeah, an inventory too. You're gonna keep an inventory, probably. I don't know yet. Or Uriel, you'll be keeping track of what Uriel. I'm basically designing a game. I'm writing a game. I'm not designing a game. I don't know yet if I want to include difficulty modes, but I think I owe it to people, especially to those who've never done it before. So yeah, I think I owe it to you, and it does help with rereadability. So there's that replayability, I would say, but yeah, you got my point. Of course, there will be multiple endings. I imagine there's going to be a lot of dead ends, but I hope not. I never personally liked dead ends myself, but if it has to happen, then I'll see what I can do. And then lastly, I wrote here, again, the same question I have still on my monitor right there. Are you holding back? And I wrote here, yes, to be faster, because I don't want to burn myself out in between work, commissions. I have so many commissions left, and just real life in general. So I'm holding back in terms of the art because I need to. If I don't hold back and become overly ambitious again, and then I see that I'm running out of time, I'll fall into this very vicious cycle that depresses me and demotivates me, because all the self-doubt is slowly accumulating over time, because I know for a fact how slow it can be, and everything isn't going exactly as I want it to go. So I don't know, again, I've never been diagnosed, but I think there's that sort of completionist thing that I've been trying to for as long as I can now. It's mainly why I'm doing my doodle commissions, because it forces me to stop and settle with a time limit I've given myself. So yeah, that's the update so far. I guess I'm going to alright, there you go. I'm going to mix the I'm going to I'm going to join the vlog from last night to today. But other than that, let's see what happens. I'm hoping that once I finish writing this, I can have the Twine story beta tested to anyone who wants to, because I know that you can export Twine files And to anyone who is okay with like reading choose your own adventure stories and clicking, maybe I can export it as a file somewhere or link it, I don't know. And then people can test it out, give me their feedback before I actually start thumbnailing. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Good luck to anyone who wants to join. I wish you all the best. Thanks again. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.